Hey, what's up, y'all? This your boy, y'all's chosen one, man, with another one. We in the book of Jasher. We're on chapter 72. We see how Moses was kicked out of Egypt. We see the whole story, how he fled Egypt on account of the Malak leading him out of Egypt because of murdering that Egyptian. So we begin chapter 72 in the book of Jasher. And thank you for following along. And here we go. And it was in those days that there was a great war between the children of Cush and the children of East and Aram. And they rebelled against the king of Cush, in whose hands they were. And remember, Kikianus, or I think that's his name, was the king of that. And remember, in the previous chapter, 2 chapters ago, remember Balaam fled to Cush because he was afraid of Moses. Remember? So Kikianus, king of Cush, went forth with all the children of Cush, a people numerous as the sand, and he went to fight against Aram and the children of the east to bring them under subjection. And when Kikianus went out, he left Balaam, the magician, with his 2 sons to guard the city and the lowest sort of the people of the land. So the lowest sort of the people, they're just like the peasants or whatever like that. And Balaam was there to guard the city. So Kikianus went forth to Aram and the children of the east, and he fought against them and smote them. And they all fell down wounded before Kikianus and his people. And he took many of them captives, and he brought them under subjection as at first. And he encamped upon their land to take tribute from them as usual. And Balaam, the son of Beor, when the king of Cush had left him to guard the city and the poor of the city, he rose up and advised with the people of the land to rebel against King Kikianus, not to let him enter the city when he should come home. Now you're starting to see what kind of man Balaam really is. You know, you see a lot of those movies, those epic movies about the sorcerers and stuff. I kind of see what kind of person Balaam is, man. Just cheap, conniving, wicked sorcerer. And Balaam, the son of Beor, when the king of Cush had left him to guard the city and the poor, and the people of the land hearkened to him, and they swore to him, and made him king over them, and his 2 sons for captains of the army. So of course, whenever you get like the lowest of the people, and they think they're not treated fairly, of course they're going to back the person who thinks that they care for them. So that's what. So Balaam is playing to their emotions, So he's doing a good job of playing to them. So they rose up and raised the walls of the city at the 2 corners, and they built an exceeding strong building. And at the 3rd corner they dug ditches without number between the city and the river, which surrounded the whole land of Cush. And they made the waters of the river burst forth there. At the 4th corner they collected numerous serpents by their incantations and enchantments, and they fortified the city and dwelt therein. And no one went out or in before them. So they created serpents with magic. This is enchantments, man. This is Balaam guy, man. He's a sorcerer. He can do this stuff. And he put these enchantments outside of the city walls, so you couldn't get in. You got water to go through. You got, which probably turned to like swampland, and you got, what a murky place this city must have looked like coming into it, man. Just murky, snakes everywhere. It must have been really bad. And Kikianus fought against Aram and the children of East, and he subdued them as before, and they gave him their usual tribute. And he went and returned to his land. And when Kikianus, the king of Cush, approached his city and all the captains of the forces were with him, they lifted up their eyes and saw that the walls of the city were built up and greatly elevated. So the men were astonished at this, and they said one to another, "It is because they saw that we were delayed in battle, and were greatly afraid of us. Therefore they have done this thing, and raised the city walls and fortified them, so that the kings of Canaan might not come in battle against them." So they're giving the people the benefit of the doubt that, hey, maybe they were afraid, and maybe they fortified themselves, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. So the kings and the troops approached the city door, and they looked up, and behold, all the gates of the city were closed. And they called out to the sentinels, saying, "Open unto us, that we may enter the city." But the sentinels refused to open to them by the order of Balaam, the magician, their king. They suffered them not to enter their city. Alright, so now they get confirmation that, hey, this isn't because they was trying to fortify the city, it's because they're trying to keep them out. So they raised a battle with them opposite the city gate, and 130 men of the army of Kikianus fell on that day. And on the next day they continued to fight, and they fought at the side of the river. They endeavored to pass, but were not able, and so some of them sank in the pits and died. So the king ordered them to cut down trees to make rafts upon which they might pass to them. And they did so. And when they came to the place of the ditches, the waters revolved by mills, and 200 men upon 10 rafts were drowned. And on the third day they came to fight at the side where the serpents were, but they could not approach there, for the serpents slew of them 170 men. And they ceased fighting against Cush, and they besieged Cush for 9 years. No person came out or in. So they're just camped outside of Cush. They go into their little land, and every time they try to go in, these people of Cush would prevail over them. Interesting. At that time that the war and the siege were against Cush, Moshe fled from Egypt from Pharaoh, who sought to kill him for having slain the Egyptian. Moshe was 18 years old when he fled from Egypt, from the presence of Pharaoh, and he fled and escaped to the camp of Kikianus, which at that time was besieging Cush. And Moshe was 9 years in the camp of Kikianus, king of Cush, all the time that they were besieging Cush, and Moshe went out and came in with them. So now he's 27 years old. And the king and princes and all the fighting men loved Moshe, for he was great and worthy. His stature was like a noble lion. His face was like the sun, and his strength was like that of a lion. And he was counselor to the king. So all these things that you see of Moses, man, on the TV and stuff, Moses was a powerful man. He wasn't like these old weak people that you see that they have in Hollywood and stuff, man. He was a powerful, strong man. And at the end of 9 years, Kikianus was seized with a mortal disease, and his illness prevailed over him, and he died on the 7th day. So he died. He wasn't even able to get his kingdom back, because Balaam had besieged it, took over it. So his servants embalmed him and carried him and buried him opposite the city gate to the north of the land of Egypt. And they built over him an elegant, strong, and high building, and they placed great stones below. And the king's scribes engraved upon those stones, all the might of their king Kikianus, and all his battles which he had fought. Behold, they are written there at this day. Now after the death of Kikianus, king of Cush, it grieved his men and troops greatly on account of the war. So they said one to another, "Give us counsel what we are to do at this time, as we have resided in the wilderness 9 years away from our homes. If we say we will fight against the city, many of us will fall wounded or killed. And if we remain here in the siege, we shall also die. For now all the kings of Aram and of the children of the east will hear that our king is dead, and they will attack us suddenly in a hostile manner, and they will fight against us and leave no remnant of us. Now, therefore, let us go and make a king over us, and let us remain in the siege until the city is delivered up to us." And they wished to choose on that day a man from the king from the army of Kikianus, and they found no object of their choice like Moshe to reign over them. And they hastened and stripped off each man his garments and cast them upon the ground. And they made a great heap placed Moses thereon. And they rose up and blew with trumpets and called out before him and said, May the king live forever. May the king live. And all the people and nobles swore unto him to give him for a wife Adoniah the queen, the Cushite, wife of Kikianus, and they made Moshe king over them on that day. And all the people of Cush issued a proclamation on that day, saying, Every man must give something to Moshe of what is in his possession. And they spread out a sheet upon the heap, and every man cast into something of what he had, one in a gold earring, and the other a coin. Also of onyx stones, bdellium, pearls, and marble did the children of Cush cast unto Moshe upon the heap. Also silver and gold in great abundance. And Moshe took all the silver and gold, all the vessels, and the bdellium and onyx stones, which all the children of Cush had given to him, and he placed them amongst his treasures. And Moshe reigned over the children of Cush on that day in the place of Kikianus, king of Cush. Alright. So, what we have here in this chapter is this Balaam guy who fled to Cush, took over this guy's kingdom. He came back from his war, and his own king couldn't even get back to his kingdom. So they're out there 9 years trying to find ways to get back into the kingdom. But all the while they couldn't do it, man, because this Balaam guy had put all kinds of things out there. They couldn't overcome him. So the king eventually dies. Kikianus eventually dies, and now they got Moshe over him. I don't know if they know Moshe is a Hebrew or not, or Egyptian, I don't know. But he is now their king. And we see here that Moses is actually a powerful man, a strong man, and a military man, as we're going to find out here shortly. And he is not a punk. He's not a wimp. Because he killed the Egyptian back in Egypt, so he's definitely not a punk. He's a strong man, and the portrayals of him have him all weak and stuff. And now he wasn't weak. He was very strong. All right. Let's continue on chapter 73 on the next one. You know what I'm saying? All right. Shalom.